Thank you for joining Rethink with Rudiano live for was it is it the second time? I think it's the second time. We're rethinking in here, and this is part two of I had to rethink my life. But just before, let me see if you can hear me now. Is it gonna work? Please work. Where is Rudiano? View channel. Here's the live. Yes, it is working. You can hear me. Yes, it is working. You can hear me. I'm talking to myself. Anyway, actually, I'm gonna write a song. It's the working title at the minute is "Talking to Myself." It might change, but yeah, I've got the instrumental. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, it's now that you're calling me, and who is calling me? Suspected spam. No, go away. Anyway, so welcome to part two. Part one, as I put in the description, was about how I had to rethink my life as far as work is concerned. Because before that, I was very naive. I thought that, your employer had a duty of care with you, and therefore they acted in good faith, genuinely, and would never stab you in the back or try to get rid of you when you're down, etc. Found out, and that's not that's not how it works. So my eyes were opened, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's similar with health. You see, each time there's a system, even if the people in the system are very good and they're in the system for the right reasons, they really want to help, their help is only as good as the system. If the system is flawed somehow, then they have to fight the system to actually do what the system is designed for. Now, what do I mean by that? That's quite a mouthful. Well, the healthcare system, for example, is supposed to help with your health. You've got a health issue, you come, you get it diagnosed and sorted so you can get back on your feet and become a working member of society again if it went to the stage that it was impeding how useful you were to society. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. That's just the best case scenario, but unfortunately, sometimes the system fails you. And this is the story of how I think the system kind of failed me. I'll see if you can relate to that. But the silver lining, because I'm not going to just be doom and gloom in here, the silver lining is that again I had a big rethink because of that experience, and now I'm much better. So what was the big rethink? Story time. So you know how I was saying how my health plummeted because of what happened with my work at one point, and I was basically struggling with the uncertainty, the stress, and then I basically became a leper and disabled. So I was walking with a walking stick. My joints were painful and swollen, and I had psoriasis in my whole body. I mean, you probably can't see. You can see there's discoloration, right? I've got discoloration, but it was worse than that. Not only was it more pronounced, it was like pink, but also it had patches. So if I were to scratch those patches, the skin would fall off and reveal the pinkish underneath. So I tell you, I had to hoover daily because I was shedding skin everywhere. it, it was bad. It was bad to such an extent that I was banned from the barbers at one point because obviously because the patches are everywhere. They were everywhere, including in my scalp. So the way it would manifest itself is by if I comb my hair, it would flakes would come out like there's no tomorrow. It would look like dandruff, but it's more than dandruff. And the scalp, once if I had a trim, went to the barber and they had the actually I have to tip my hat to my barbers because when they started to work on my hair, they never stopped and say, "Oh man, that's too much. You're shedding all skin in this. I can't work like that." They always stuck to the job until they were finished. And when they were finished, it exposed my scalp, and my scalp was patchy as well. You could see it was ugly. But I needed to do that to expose my scalp to the sun, and I thought it would help. But at one point, my barber said, "I'm sorry, but you're scaring the customers away because it's so bad that people are scared that they might catch it. It's not contagious, but I understand completely. It's like that's not what you want to see. Your barber using the same tools on this ill skinned person and going to use that on you. Just, I understand completely. So for a time, I couldn't go to the barbers, so I had to let it grow. So what did I do? Like everybody would, I turned to my doctors in my country, the NHS, the Western medicine system, and then they prescribed a lot of lotions and potions and creams, and they kind of worked a little bit, but there were a lot of side effects. Like for example, for my skin, the only product that worked very well was a cream that had steroid in it. And the problem with steroid is that, well, there's side effects, but the one that I remember is that you're not supposed to use that as a long-term treatment because it thins your skin. And then at one point, if it thins your skin, you just need to brush your skin to this, and that's it. You hurt, and it will bleeding. You don't want that. And also, you could not use steroid cream on your face because your face, the skin on your face is already thin enough, fragile enough. You're not supposed to do that. Anecdote: I at one point started to read the side effects on all those products because somebody put a seed in my mind. I'll come back to that. But then I realized that I should not use the steroid cream on my face. That was something that was clearly stated in the side effects. Do not use that on your face. And I kid you not, I went to a doctor's once because I had a massive flare up. And then they asked me, "Why don't you use the steroid cream for my face?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not supposed to." And then the doctor looked at their notes and was like, "Oh yeah, you're right, my bad." See? It's not to badmouth the profession, but it's just, human error. It's possible. So, now what put that seed in my mind? Because before that, I was, again, naive thinking, you've got a lab coat or whatever, you're a doctor, you've got a training, you've got a decade of training at least. You've got a brain that is able to understand all of these things about the human body and the ailments and all the rest of it. I come and I give you my life, and please sort it. Basically, kind of relinquishing my power. and just trusting 100% the doctor. But then one day, another medication that I was taking for my joints was, sorry, methotrexate, which is a very potent immuno repressor, something like that. So it stops your immune system to overreact, because psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis is like your immune system is overreacting, fighting itself basically. So methotrexate was suppressing that, but it wasn't working very well. So I kept going to the doctor, and the doctor was saying, okay, we up the dose. Okay, I came back, same thing. We up the dose again. We up the dose. Then my pharmacist, when I came to collect my medication, was saying, "Are you sure you want to up the dose on that?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, we agreed to that with my doctor. So what's the problem?" And he said, just I can't remember the phrasing he used, but it was like, I really felt like he was thinking, this is a bit problematic because the side effects are quite bad. And to this day, I don't know exactly what he was thinking of, but what I know is, for example, if you're under methotrexate, you're not supposed to procreate because the child is very likely to have a malformation of some sort. So yeah. Anyway, at one point, I stopped because yeah, I was gonna get married. Anyway, that's another subject for another time. But that seed of doubt made me question, added to the mishap with the doctor that didn't realize that I shouldn't use such and such cream with my face. I was like, they're not infallible. I better do my own research. I better read the side effects. I better be more hands-on with my own health. And at the time, I'm not going to take all the credit, because at the time, I had tremendous help from some of my friends, because obviously with all of this ailment and pain, and pain on the outside and on the inside, the joints, life was very difficult. And I didn't have a bath, I only had a shower. So one of my friends was saying, okay, we've got a bath, we don't mind you coming and just have a soak in the bath. We've got natural oats you can put in the bath to soak your skin and to smooth it out. And so yeah, just whenever you want, let us know, and then you're okay to have the bath and sing your heart out in the bath, which I did. I was going there every now and then, and for 3 hours at a time, I would soak in the bath and sing my heart out in the bath. They didn't mind that. That was great time. So joyful amidst the really stressful situation. And it's those friends as well, because they helped me no end. They made me realize that there's a lot that we don't know because we just let other people think for us. But when you take charge and you do your own research, you realize, there's a lot of different ways to take care of your health, rather than just relying at the last minute when something goes wrong, run to the doctors and expect a magic potion, a magic pill. So this is what happened. So for my scalp, I did have uh, a talk with my doctor, and then I said, I wish I could get something to help with the scalp issues and all the things coming out that looks like dandruff and all the rest of it. And then I was prescribed some shampoo that was supposed to help. Unfortunately, when I used that shampoo, it made things worse. After using it, well, it didn't make things worse, but my scalp felt like cement afterwards. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. And I guess what it did is keep keep the scalp in place so that it didn't leak all those skin tissue. I don't know, but I didn't like it. And I remember talking to my friend about that, and I don't know if he looked at the ingredients, but he said there's tar in it. Tar is not good. And I was like, huh? And he said, why don't you use this shampoo? This shampoo that I've got a whole host of products by a company that avoid a lot of the harmful ingredients that are in mainstream products. And I resisted it for a long time because I was like, yeah, okay, you're my friend. I know you. I know you feel strongly about that, and you're helpful. But you're not a doctor. My doctor is prescribing me stuff that doesn't work. Who are you to be able to give me something that will actually work? You are you mad? You've got delusion of grandeur, my friend. So I resisted until at one point I was just desperate. So I was like, nothing is working, so I might as well. So I tried his product and I was like, oh, no way. After I used the shampoo the first time, my hair was so soft. It reminded me of what my mom used to say that when I was a baby and people, well, a baby, when I was a toddler and I was growing an afro, and my mom used to say that people would come to the pram and look, touch my hand, say, "Oh, it's like a sheep." It felt like that way. It was so soft, as if I was going back to become a baby. Because at the time, I couldn't go to the barber, so I had massive hair. Not an afro, but it's like a mid afro. It was so soft. I was like, wow. So there are actually alternative ways to cope with stuff, not just the medication. So yeah, now, of course, I'm not saying not to trust the medication that you're being provided, but do your research. Look at the side effect. Read. Take your health in your own hands as well. Don't just leave it up to the doctors 100%. Don't do that. So that kind of started a process of me researching stuff. And another friend of mine um, recommended a book by this nurse called Margaret Hills, and the title of the book was what was it again? Cure Arthritis the Drug Free Way. And she recommended that, saying that she had started to develop symptoms of arthritis. She was in her 60s by then. Not the nurse, the friend that recommended that book. She was in her 60s and she was like, no, I do not want to be having these symptoms so early in life. And she stumbled across that book, read it, implemented it, and reversed the symptoms. I was like, huh, let me try that. What do I have to lose? Nothing else has worked so far. So I tried. And to be honest, I didn't try the whole thing. I tried like maybe 70%, but I was kind of drastic. I drastically changed my diet. So I had only vegetable stews with fish, with chicken, banish going out to eat anywhere. only home cooked food, and no sugar, no soda, only honey if I wanted something sweet, and cider vinegar um, to mix with honey once a day, twice a day as kind of a tea sort of thing. The only problem is that it gave you bad breath. Whoops! But apart from that, within 6 months of that, and actually I did something else. I did phototherapy as well. That seemed to have worked. But I did that. I also started supplementing because my diet was poor. Now, another story. I remember way before my problem at work and the whole health situation debacle. My mom came to visit me, and you know what moms are like. Mom always worry, even when you think that there's nothing to worry about. So my mom looked at my diet and she was like, "What's going on? You've got no vegetables. Uh, you don't have herbal tea like we used to." She was like, I raised you with this was what our routine when we lived together, because I didn't always live with my mom. I lived with my extended family at one point. So my aunts and my cousin, etc. But because my mom worked away. But she when I moved with her and we were together, our lunch dinner were always the same. Crudité to start with, which is French for vegetables. That was the starters, always. We had the main, and then we had dessert. And dessert was normally yogurt, and and then we'd follow that with herbal tea. That was the routine. So my mom expected me to carry that over. And then when she came to visit me, she was disappointed because my diet was pasta, rice, soda, pasta, rice, soda, pasta, rice, soda. Water? Nah. Herbal tea? Nah. Vegetables? Nah. So of course she was like, "No, you need to take care of yourself better." And I was like, "Don't worry about it. Uh, I'm a picture of health. I don't need to be so petty about what I eat." Hmm. If I knew back then, 10 years of malbouffe, as we say in French, which is poor eating habits. 10 years of that, and my body was like, enough is enough. I did the stress at work, and my body was just like, I can't cope anymore. There you go. Makes sense. Unfortunately, I don't think in the traditional medicine world they they really understand the impact of nutrition. I don't think they get trained on that. But to me, it makes sense. It's logical. If you eat poison, what's gonna happen? You're gonna die. If you eat slow poison or you know reduced poison, it's gonna impact you. You're gonna get ill. You're gonna die slowly. That's what we do with our diet. We just eat things that are not really healthy, and then we surprised that our body can't cope with all the toxins that we put in. So yeah, this was my rethink was like, right, okay, the healthcare system is composed with people that are fallible. Yes, they're very clever. Yes, they're trained very thoroughly, but they have blind spots. I think nutrition is one of the blind spots that they have. Case in point, I had another flare up last year. I had two flare ups actually last year. I don't know exactly why. I was in the stress. Yes, I can't remember what stress it was. But anyway, I had two flare ups and I went to the doctors. And again, I I talked to them, and each time I say that actually having observed my body, having experienced certain foods aggravate my inflammations because my joints problem, the arthritis part, is inflammatory. It's not wear and tear because I'm too young and I'm not doing any job that is like labor intensive on my joints. So it's not wear and tear, it's inflammation. And part of the inflammation is what I eat. And actually, uh, suggested by a doctor, which I was very pleased about because most doctors were completely dismissive about anything to do with nutrition. But this doctor said to me, it would be a good thing to have a food diary to see um, what aggravates your condition. And that was the best advice I ever had. And I did that and I realized that there are certain foods that 24 hours later, sometimes even hours later, my body is itchy, and then the day after, it becomes patchy again. Cause and effect. What else do you want? Okay, somebody might say it's not exactly cause and effect. You can't really say that that's the food that does that exactly. It might be because you have a leaky gut, therefore some of the food seep out, some of the food don't seep out, whatever. But this is the connection I can see clearly. If I don't eat this food, I'm fine. If I eat this food, I'm not fine. Therefore, logically, I avoid this food because I want to be fine. Each time I go to the doctor and say something like that, like last year I did, they completely dismiss what I say. Completely. It's as if they're not even listening. They think that I'm talking rubbish each time I say, I think this is because I've had a lot of sugar because I'm stressed. So when I'm stressed, I eat a lot of sugar, sweets that are, and are made processed sweets like there's got gelatin in it. So I need to stay off the pork. I don't even get to that stage to explain to them that. Just like, oh, psh, yeah, yeah, let's give you this portion, this cream, this whatever. Mm, I'm not getting that anymore. So the last time, the only medication that I got was a steroid cream again as a last resort, a kind of emergency treatment that I should not carry on. Fortunately, when I had the emergency treatment, it worked, and I was like, right, I need to get my diet on point again, which I did, reduce the stress, which I did, and I was fine. And so far, I mean, it's not 100%, not like it was back in the day when I was really drastic, vegetable stew, and that was it. But I didn't have much energy to do anything else. I did my carbs, and I think carbs are also a bit aggravating to my condition. So I try to not have too much. And if I have carbs, I try to have healthy, well, I consider healthy carbs, like brown rice, whole wheat pasta, not something that has been washed and you know got the vitamins and minerals processed out of it, kind of thing. So yeah, if I could talk and talk and talk about that, but it's coming up to 30 minutes. What I'm gonna say though is my conclusion was that yes, okay, when you have an issue, it's very good to go to the doctors, but prevention is better than cure. And in fact, sometimes the cure is just not even possible. Like in my case, what they normally used to say to me is that you can manage the condition, but you can't cure it. Now, since I kind of gone around to thinking, yeah, that's possible, but at the time, maybe because they didn't want me to have false hope, they unfortunately, unwittingly encouraged me to have no hope. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, this is this is the beginning of the end for me. I was 30, but feeling like I was disabled and living like an 80-year-old. And in my mind, it was like it was going to be like that for the rest of my life. They didn't do anything to allay my fears about that. Turns out that was wrong. I had hope. My friends helped me to get my hope back, and I started to get into the driving seats of my health. And what did I do? Now, actually, shameless plug here, I turned my health around really with a little bit of help of my friends, a little bit of help with the healthcare system as well, obviously. The phototherapy was something that did work, although temporarily. Steroid creams as well did work, although temporarily. But the thing that really helped was to make sure my foundation was right. Because very often we forget that the foundation has to be right for you to build anything on top of it. Foundation is threefold, I say fourfold. One, get your diet right. Stop that junk food. Stop that sugar. Reduce that sugar if you can. More water. Two, sleep. Prioritize sleep. There's no don't use it as a badge of honor. Oh, I only sleep 4 hours because I'm a hustler. I don't sleep much. You know, sleep is for the weak. Shut up. That is dumb. Anyway, three. What's the three? So, diet, recover, sleep, and exercise. Move your body. Because that's something as well that I didn't do ahead of when I had the flare ups. I wasn't exercising a lot. In fact, I wasn't exercising at all by the time I was 30. I've turned that around now. I move my body because it helps with four. Four is mental health. Now, there's a connection between your mental health and your physical health. Now, it's not something again that is very widespread in Western medicine yet. I hope it's gonna come to that. But there's a link. If you exercise well, you get your endorphin and all the feel good chemicals that exercising provides you with. It helps your mental health. And when your mental health is better, your physical health normally follows. See, when you have those four things as a foundation, I'm not saying that you're not going to have any illness, but the illnesses will be reduced and your body is going to be more able to cope with the toxins that are around even when you're not ingesting bad stuff. So that was how I turned my life around, and I based all I've just said to you, I put it in a, a course. Shameless plug here. It's this one over there on rethinkentrepreneur.com. If you go to shop, 3 video life changer. That's more than 3 videos, but the 3 videos are covering those 3 aspects: um, diet, um, sleep, and exercise. And once you've got that foundation, you're much better off than being always trying to get Western medicine to fix you. because they can't. If your foundation is not there, they can give you all sorts of things. It might help a little bit, but the cause is still going to be there. That's my take anyway. So thank you for watching up to this point. And next time, I mean, I like those lives. I'm gonna be doing more lives, but give me some questions, give me some suggestions so I can answer them in the next live. But in the meantime, I'm gonna be at least finishing on the quote series. If you haven't seen the quote series, have a look. It's my the quotes that I've come up with and why I've come up with them. What was the context and explaining what it means. I'm gonna be doing the last one. The last one is about why I think that the future belongs to those who connect the dots. What does that mean? And actually, let me see if I can find out. Let me show you. In fact, in the quote series, right? The quote series on rethinkentrepreneur.com. That's one of my sites. If you go on rethinkentrepreneur.com and click on shareables here, there's gonna be all my quotes if it loads. Oh yes, it's whole. So every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. Good morning. So all my quotes are there. I've done one explanation on this one. The observant heart learns the most profound life lessons. This is one that I came up with. A lot of the quotes I've come up with, but some of them I've just taken from somebody else. So this one, chasing perfection is a form of procrastination. I haven't done anything regarding that. Which one that have I done? That I'm gonna touch on. But the actual quote. Oh, this I've mentioned in one of my videos. Uh, which one is this? Oh, where is it? Yeah, I've done this one. I've done this one. When you educate, you should elevate, not humiliate. Because I saw that so much. People are like, they're not trying to help people with new information and comprehension. They just try to make people feel bad and make people feel stupid for having an opinion. I hate that. Anyway, that was more than 30 minutes. That was almost 40 minutes. In fact, I thought it would last even longer. So I've done okay. So thank you for joining, and I see you next time. So in the meantime, reflect, redefine, rise. Ciao. Now, guys, you're gonna have to do something about that. It should be easier to close. There you go.